Both the nervous system as well as the endocrine system is responsible for carrying on the various functions of the body. Pineal gland is divided into two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis, or anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. The whole of the brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain consists of cerebrum and diencephalon. Pituitary gland, which is divided into two parts, anterior and posterior. Hi everyone, welcome back to chapter 22 of your syllabus, session 1 of chapter 22 called Chemical Coordination and Integration. Myself, B. Shobharani from the Department of Biology, Vidyashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence. Hope you remember, in one very important chapter, we studied about neural control and coordination. So this is one such chapter which is much related to the neural control and coordination. So the chemical coordination and integration. Let us move on. And this is a very important chapter from knowledge point of view, because here in this particular chapter, we'll be studying about the coordination of different endocrine glands and how they bring about the process of various functions that is going on inside the body. Now, let us understand what is this chapter all about. So the chapter is chemical coordination and integration. I think we already studied in the chapter called neural control and coordination how the central nervous system, the nervous system which is going to control the various activities of our body. So in our body, the nervous system provides a point-to-point rapid coordination among organs. Hope you imagine, I think all of us know there is a very important process happening inside our body called homeostasis. Homeostasis. Homeostasis means what? Maintenance of internal environment. Maintenance of internal environment. And how is this maintenance of internal environment going on? There is what we call it as coordination, understanding. What do you mean by coordination? Imagine there are so many organs inside our body coordinating with each other and carrying on their functions. For example, like the blood circulatory system. We all know how the lungs and the heart are related for the blood circulation system. As we know, the impure blood goes to the lungs for purification, and the purified blood from the lungs goes back to the heart. From the heart, it is supplied to the different parts of the body. So like that, we have the excretory system, the respiratory system, right? So there are many physiological processes which are happening with the coordination of the organs. So they try to complement each other and carry on their functions meticulously. Imagine if this coordination will not take place, then definitely we cannot expect a very important process happening inside our body called homeostasis. I think all of us know about the digestive system. So the whole process of digestive system involves many parts of digestive system. So there's an understanding or a coordination. Stomach does its own job and passes on the next job or responsibility to the small intestine, from the small intestine to the large intestine. See how the process of digestion is taking place. So like that, we have many physiological processes happening with the coordination or understanding of the organs together. So that is very, very important. So as we all know that even the nervous system provides a point-to-point rapid coordination among organs. So there is a nervous control also for the organs also. So the organs will, for example, you step your foot on something which is very sharp. So immediately we draw our legs from that sharp object. So immediately our leg will respond and see the message will go to the brain. From the brain, it goes from the sensory neuron, it goes to the brain. From the brain, through the motor neuron, immediately we lift our legs. So for example, when we touch a hot object, immediately we withdraw our hand. So all this is something which is happening in a fraction of a second. That means to say, in our body, the nervous system provides a point-to-point coordination among the organs. Imagine if this coordination would not have happened, then definitely our body would not have carried on the functions so very meticulously. So in our body, the nervous system provides a point-to-point rapid coordination among the organs. So the neural coordination is fast but short-lived. Yes, of course, everything, this coordination particularly is happening in a very fraction of a second. So when we touch a hot object, immediately we withdraw the hand. So that withdrawing, what I said, what we call it as response to stimulus, will happen in a fraction of a second. So the neural coordination is very, very fast. Within a second, for example, if a bus is coming in front of us, we try to move away from the bus. Anything like harmful stimulus, we try to avoid. Why? Because we know that something which is danger to us and we try to avoid. So all this is happening in a fraction of a second because the neural coordination is much, much faster than anything else, but it is short-lived. So immediately when we withdraw the hand, that is over. So that function is over. So that means the neural coordination is fast but short-lived. Like for example, as I said, if a bus or some vehicle is coming right in front of you, we slightly move away from, because we know it is going to hit us and cause injury. So immediately we move away from that in front of the bus, like we try to move aside. So this is like, fraction of a second. So the neural control is fast but short-lived. The nerve fibers of the nervous system do not have connection with all the cells of the body. But I think all of us know the whole body is controlled by the nervous system. But there is one more very, very important system which is very much important to control the various functions of the body, and that system is called as the endocrine system. So we call it as neuroendocrine system. Both the nervous system as well as the endocrine system is responsible for carrying on the various functions of the body. So here you can see in this beautiful picture the various endocrine glands, like the pituitary. As we know, pituitary is called as the master gland, which is the controller of the various activities of the body, hence it is called, and it is a controller of other endocrine functions also, hence it is called master gland. There is somebody above pituitary to control, and that is hypothalamus, and we call hypothalamus as master of master gland. Then we have pineal, which is very much important for regulating the sleep-wake cycle. Then we have thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, pancreas. How wonderful it is. Pancreas is called as a heterocrine gland. Heterocrine gland, because it is functioning both as an endocrine and exocrine. Let me get back to what is endocrine. Then adrenal gland, because it is found above kidney, it is called as the adrenal gland. Then we have testis, the male reproductive primary sex organ in male called testis, which is going to produce the male hormone called testosterone, which is responsible for regulating the male secondary sexual characters. Then we have ovary in female. And ovary is again a very, very important primary sex organ in females, which is very much responsible for carrying on, like for the process of formation of female secondary sexual characters, that is estrogen and progesterone. So all these are the endocrine glands, which is going to regulate many body functions inside our body. Now let us understand what is this endocrine system. So we know there are two types of glands. One is called exocrine glands and endocrine glands. The very word itself will tell you. Glands means something which will secrete, secretions. Here exocrine glands are called duct glands, whereas endocrine glands are called ductless glands. Why these are called as duct glands? Because they secrete certain secretions, but they are not called as hormones. They are just called as secretions, pass through ducts. What do you mean by ducts? Pipe-like structures. Pipe-like structures. Ductless glands, absence of ducts. Absence of ducts. So the secretions, here the secretions of endocrine glands are called hormones. and they do not pass through the ducts, but they are directly poured into the bloodstream. So we have this neuroendocrine system, which is going to control the various physiological processes that's happening inside our body. And there are two types of glands called exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Exocrine glands are duct glands which secrete certain secretions which have a great role to play in the process of digestion. But endocrine gland, not only digestion, like even sweat glands, then the tear gland, lacrimal glands, all these are the glands which is going to have a very various functions to perform. Then endocrine glands are called as the ductless glands. And why? Because here the endocrine secretions are not called as secretions, they are called as hormones. Hormones are nothing but chemical substances. And here the target organ is different, the organ of production is different from the organ of action, right? Then the secretions called hormones are directly poured into the bloodstream because there is absence of ducts. So chemical coordination and integration in our body, the nervous system provides a point-to-point rapid coordination among organs. The neural coordination is fast but short-lived. The nerve fibers of the nervous system do not have connection with all the cells of the body. Even though the cellular functions are regulated continuously in our body, it is due to the coordination and integration of nervous system and endocrine system. Hence, we use the word called neuroendocrine system. See here, you can see all these are the endocrine system. All these are the endocrine systems. So endocrine glands, location of endocrine glands, here you can see where the pineal gland is located, hypothalamus, thalamus, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, pancreas, adrenal, then we can see the ovary, then the testes in male, right? So even though the cellular functions are regulated continuously in our body, but there is somebody to control it. So cellular functions are continuously happening and they're regulated. So it is due to what is that which is going to regulate the various functions inside our body? It is due to the coordination and integration of nervous system and endocrine system. Hence we call it as what? Neuroendocrine system. Nervous system along with the endocrine system. So the neural system and the endocrine system jointly coordinate and regulate the physiological functions in our body. As I said, it is not all alone nervous system and it is not all alone endocrine. It is the joint coordination of both the nervous system and the endocrine system. Both the nervous system and the endocrine system. The endocrine system. So we call it as what? Neuroendocrine system. Right? Now, let us study about the endocrine glands and hormones. Already I explained about the endocrine glands. As I said, endocrine glands lacks ducts. They do not have ducts and are hence called as what? Ductless glands. So here the endocrine secretions. So here they are called as what? Ductless. That means absence of ducts. What do you mean by ducts? Pipe-like structures. Pipe-like structures. Right? And the chemical secreted by endocrine gland is called hormone. Hormone is nothing but, we call it as a chemical substance. We use the word called chemical substance. For example, like the secretion of parathyroid hormone, parathormone, then adrenal gland will produce both medullary hormones and cortical hormones. Here thyroid produces thyroxine. Pineal gland, as you know, pineal gland is divided into two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis, or anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. It produces the hormones of its own kind. Anyhow, I am going to discuss one by one about each endocrine gland in the coming sessions. So in the next slide, I am going to discuss about one very important endocrine gland called hypothalamus, right? So the chemical substances which are secreted by the endocrine glands are called as hormones. But they are called as hormones. But the secretions of exocrine glands, you don't call it as hormones. You just call it as secretions. So hormones, what are hormones then? They are the chemicals synthesized in the endocrine gland, act as chemicals messengers. So even you can call them as hormones, as you can also call them as chemical messengers. Chemical messengers transported in blood to a distant place where it acts as a specific cell or tissue organs called as target organs. I said no, the organ of production of the hormone is different from the target. What do you mean by target organs? Organs or the cells or the tissues on which the hormone is going to act upon is called as a target organ. So pineal gland, it is found in the head region, that is the brain, just below the in the brain. So but see the action what it is going to do. It is going to control growth, it is going to control reproduction, it has a great role to play. Then very important is the that is the posterior pituitary or the neurohypophysis produces two very important hormones called oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin is very much responsible for birth of a child. Vasopressin is responsible for regulating the water content in the urine. See how the organ of production is different from the organ of action. So hormones are the chemicals synthesized in the endocrine glands, act as chemical messengers, transported in blood to distant place where it acts on specific cells, tissues, organs, or called as target organs. So current specific definition of hormone is hormones are non-nutritional. They don't provide any nutritional, but chemical which act as intercellular messengers and are produced in the trace amount. Hormones are not produced in large quantity, just like enzymes. They are produced in very minute quantity, but the mode of action is very much high, we can say. So endocrine glands and hormone, endocrine glands are called ductless glands because the secretions called hormones are not pass through the ducts, but it is directly poured into the bloodstream. Hence the endocrine glands are called ductless glands. And the endocrine glands produce certain secretions where we use the word called hormones. Hormones are nothing but chemical messengers. They can also call them as chemical substances. So hormones are the chemicals synthesized in the endocrine gland, act as what? Chemical messengers transported in blood to distant place where it acts on specific cells or tissues or organs called target organs. So current specific definition of hormone is what? Hormones are non-nutritional but chemicals which act as intercellular messengers and are produced in trace amount. Now let us understand about the hormones. Here I think we have come across, so what are the endocrine hormones? Endocrine glands. The endocrine glands include hypothalamus, then pituitary gland, then the thyroid gland, then parathyroid gland, then we have pancreas, then we have parathyroid, then we have adrenal gland, then we have testes, we have ovary, then we have pineal gland. So these are the endocrine glands. So the endocrine glands include hypothalamus, pituitary. Next comes pineal gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, pancreas, adrenal gland, testes, ovary. All these are the endocrine glands. So let us move on to study the first very important endocrine gland called hypothalamus. As I said, hypothalamus is called master of master gland. It is called master of master gland. So where is it present? It is present in the basal part of the diencephalon. We know the whole of the brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain consists of cerebrum and diencephalon. So it is the basal part of the diencephalon. So here you can see the hypothalamus. It is found just below the thalamus, hence the name hypothalamus. So here you can see the pituitary. It is almost like the size of a pea, pituitary, right? So hypothalamus, which is called master of master gland. Why? Because it controls pituitary. Pituitary controls other endocrine functions. Hence, it is called master gland. But hypothalamus controls pituitary. Hence, it is called master of master gland. Then, where is it hypothalamus present? It is present in the basal part of the diencephalon. Diencephalon is a part of forebrain. Then it contains several groups of neurosecretory cells called nuclei which produce hormones. So these hormones regulate the synthesis and secretory activity of pituitary gland. Hormones produced by it are of two types. Releasing hormone, which stimulates secretion of pituitary hormone, and inhibiting hormone, which inhibits secretion of pituitary hormone. So here hypothalamus will produce two types of hormones called oxytocin and vasopressin. Vasopressin is also called as ADH. ADH means anti-diuretic hormone. So oxytocin is called birth hormone. So these two hormones produced by the hypothalamus are received by the posterior pituitary. As we know, pituitary, here you can see pituitary gland is divided into anterior pituitary and posterior. So it is received by the posterior. Anterior pituitary produces the hormones of its own kind, like GH, growth hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. So it produces the hormones of its own kind. But the posterior pituitary of pituitary gland will not produce the hormones of its own kind, but instead it receives the hormones of the hypothalamus. Hence, oxytocin and vasopressin are called as neurohormones, because they are the hormones which is received by the posterior pituitary of pituitary gland. Hence, they are called as neurohormones, because neuro means something which has to do with, because it is found in the basal part of diencephalon, that is the brain. Hence, it is called as neurohormones. So, hormones produced by it are of two types. Releasing hormone, which stimulates secretion of pituitary. So, at the time, actually oxytocin is called birth hormone, and ADH is very much important for regulating, and oxytocin, particularly during childbirth, the oxytocin is released and it will help in vigorous uterine contractions, thereby helping in childbirth. Whereas vasopressin, for example, there is more elimination of water in urine, then it will lead to a condition or a disorder called water diuresis or diabetes insipidus. So in order to control or retain the excess of water and to avoid the elimination of excess of water from the urine, ADH is produced. So a hormone will act as this hypothalamus is also will release. It is called as releasing. It produces hormones which are called as releasing hormone. So it stimulates the posterior pituitary to release oxytocin at the time of childbirth and to release vasopressin. Actually, oxytocin is produced only in females, and it is but whereas in vasopressin is in both in males and females, because it regulates the water level in the water content in the urine. So hormones produced by it are of two kinds, that is releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone also. So it inhibits also as well as helps in also in releasing hormones. So the hypothalamus, it is called as master of master gland, because it is a controller of the pituitary gland. Hence it is called master of master gland. So it is, where is it present? It is present in the basal part of the diencephalon, that is the forebrain, and it contains several groups of neurosecretory cells called nuclei which produce hormones, and these hormones regulate the synthesis and secretory activity of pituitary gland. Hormones produced by it are of two types: releasing hormone, then the inhibiting hormone. Releasing hormone which stimulates secretion of pituitary hormone, inhibiting hormone which inhibits secretion of pituitary hormone. Then there is one more called GnRH. So here you can see the thalamus and the hypothalamus. So it is present just below the thalamus, hence it is called as hypothalamus. This is medulla oblongata. So GnRH also very, very important. Gonadotrophin releasing hormone from hypothalamus stimulate the pituitary gland to release gonadotrophins. Gonadotrophins are FSH and LH, which is very important for spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Right. So somatostatin from the hypothalamus inhibits the secretion of growth hormone from pituitary gland. So I think all of us know pituitary gland produces a hormone called growth hormone, and hypersecretion will have the effects. Hypersecretion of growth hormone will lead to gigantism, whereas hyposecretion will lead to dwarfism. So neither it should be in less production or it can be in more production. So hypersecretion or hyposecretion will have adverse effect on the body. So there is one hormone which is produced by the hypothalamus also called as somatostatin from hypothalamus, which, as I said, hypothalamus produces hormones like releasing hormone, inhibiting hormone. So somatostatin is a inhibiting hormone. So when will it inhibit? When the GH hormone is produced in more quantity, then it will suppress it. So inhibits the secretion of growth hormone from pituitary. Hormones secreted from the hypothalamus reach the pituitary gland through a portal circulation and regulate the anterior pituitary gland. So posterior pituitary is under the direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. As I said, the pituitary, which is divided into two parts. Pituitary gland, which is divided into two parts, anterior and posterior, or it is otherwise called adenohypophysis, neurohypophysis, posterior. As I already said, anterior pituitary produces the hormones of its own kind, but posterior pituitary does not produce the hormones of its own kind. Instead, it receives the hormones of the hypothalamus. Hence, oxytocin and vasopressin, which is produced by hypothalamus but received by the posterior pituitary, are called as neurohormones. So, hormones secreted from the hypothalamus reach the anterior pituitary gland through portal circulation. And as I said, even hypothalamus is also very important in controlling the anterior pituitary. So anterior pituitary produces what? Growth hormone, which regulates the growth of an individual. Suppose if there is hypersecretion of growth hormone, it may lead to gigantism. So at that time, somatostatin is released by hypothalamus, which is going to inhibit the growth hormone. So it is involved in releasing both the releasing hormone as well as inhibiting hormone. So GnRH, gonadotrophin releasing hormone from hypothalamus, stimulate the pituitary gland to release gonadotrophins. Somatostatin from the hypothalamus inhibits the secretion of growth hormone from pituitary gland. Hormones secreted from the hypothalamus reach the pituitary gland through a portal circulation and regulate the anterior pituitary gland. So posterior pituitary is under the direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. Hope you have understood the first very important session of this very interesting chapter called chemical coordination and integration. As I keep telling you all in each and every session that the chapters that are included in your first PUC are almost related to human body, and all this is the thing which is happening inside our body, and it is like from knowledge point of view also it is very, very important. So all these hormones, the endocrine glands, have a great role to play in our body in regulating various physiological processes. So in the coming session, so we have studied about the types of endocrine glands, may it be the thalamus, hypothalamus, then the pituitary, then the pineal, then the thyroid, then the parathyroid, adrenal gland, then the pancreas, then we have the testes and the ovary. So all these are the endocrine glands which have a great role to play with the hormones what they secrete. And we have already studied about one very important endocrine gland called hypothalamus, which is called as master of master gland. So in the coming session, let us understand about the remaining endocrine glands and their functions. Till then, goodbye and thank you.